Activation synthesis theory. This is where this entire third quarter of this class has been leading. The very cool, climatic, leading, most comprehensive and prolific theory of dreaming today. You will recognize bits and pieces, but let's now add the rest and tie them all together. In the late 70s, Alan Hobson, your dreams text author, by the way, and McCarley, who is pictured here on the right, proposed their activation synthesis theory of dreaming, which has since inspired prolific research by themselves and many other researchers, through which the theory has been validated. So this is the leading, most comprehensive theory of dreaming today, and it goes like this. Dreaming during REM sleep is the result of REM on and REM off cells selectively activating several forebrain systems and deactivating others. The activated areas include those responsible for awareness, eye movements, instincts, vestibular sensations, memory consolidation, sensory and motor processing areas, and information storage of memories and emotion. The deactivated areas include those responsible for sensory input from the body, motor output pathways, and the executive functioning parts of the frontal lobe. The site of executive functioning is the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex located just inside the front of your temples. This deactivation results in the unquestioned acceptance of our dreams without any realization of their frequently illogical, discontinuous, and unfeasible nature while we are dreaming. Remember that the information storage that is activated and drawn from while dreaming contains memories and emotion. Once the on and off cells have established the selective processing of the brain, your brain begins to mostly randomly activate content from that information storage. So when you dream, this is drawing from your pre-existing memories and your connected emotions. Thus, the dream content is highly relevant and unique to you. You can think of the activation part of the activation synthesis theory as the selective activation of the on and off cells and the resultant activation and deactivation centers, setting the stage for how the mostly randomly activated material from stored memories and emotions will be processed. The synthesis part of the theory is this processing. Your brain is processing sensory information just like when you are awake. It's just working with internally generated and mostly randomly activated information from your storage. Remember that full-time job of the brain? Perceptual hypothesizing, synthesizing experience into a meaningful whole, guessing what it is that you are seeing, hearing, smelling, etc., making sense of it all, interpreting it, right? So when dreaming, the brain works with randomly activated memories and all the sensations, emotions, etc., connected to them to synthesize a meaningful whole, a somewhat coherent plot. This synthesis process is akin to a writing game that you may have heard of, where each member of a group writes a sentence and places it into a bowl. Members then are presented with a list of all the sentences from which they each need to construct a story. This usually includes adding content that acts as bridges between sentences, right? Even with the attempted bridges, the stories usually end up being quite dreamlike, and they're jumping from one content area to another, and bizarre, discontinuous content. Now, remember in our dream lecture, we discussed how your dreams could identify you as well as your fingerprint if we had a way to measure them as precisely. Your synthesis style is also highly unique to you, not just the content that it's drawing from, but the style. The way you synthesize information is guided by your self, other, and worldviews, and your unique way of processing information. It is clearly, you might say, your MO. You might note that it keeps saying mostly randomly activated. This is because while memories and information are mostly randomly activated, newer ones are activated more frequently than you would expect from a totally random draw. Overall, memories or information acquired during the past week have a higher chance of activation than older ones, with the peak being memories and information that are 6 days old. Remember the day residue lag effect? Here's another interesting example of how random activation is not 100% random. A colleague of Hobson and McCarley's found that dream transformations do adhere to a couple of logical categorical rules. For instance, people are more likely to turn into other people than into other animals or inanimate objects. Non-human animals into other non-human animals, and inanimate objects into other inanimate objects. Much research has supported and expanded activation synthesis theory and continues to do so since its origination, including neurophysiological, neuropsychological, cognitive neuroscience, dream recall content research, and even postmodern literary research. This concludes the third quarter of this class, which focused on dreams, dream content, form or processes, and theories. After your exam, we will continue with the last quarter of this class, which will focus on functions and dysfunctions of sleep and dreaming. We wish you the best on your exam.